Hello, everyone. This may or may not go online. I always quite like Schrodinger's audience. This is a playtest of a game called Scions, which is derived from the Paragon System, specifically mainly Aegon, but there's other stuff in here too. It is basically a kind of do-it-yourself Warhammer 40k Horus Hersey game. Everyone's playing the Scions, who are these awful people who are trying to reforge an empire in space, and they come to terrible fates. I'm not going to get them. I'm going to get the players to introduce themselves quickly, and then but we won't introduce the characters yet because we're halfway through card gen, and card gen start to become scenes in this game. It's kind of one of the things it does. Okay. I'm going to say, okay, I'm Kieron Gillen. I'm he/him. I'm facilitating and designing the game, and the question I'm going to ask everybody is, what is everyone's what's their favorite piece of epic sci-fi? That's the thing. And my favourite piece of epic sci-fi is actually the culture novels by Ian Banks. I'm a huge Ian Banks head, and the idea of this kind of like space communist utopia, but with edges, that was always really appealing to me. Cool. And we'll go clockwise. So, Stephen, who are you?
Hey there. I am Stephen, he, they, and I am playing Salandros the Star Eater. We, they, but you should address me as your Radiance. In terms of epic science fiction, it's funny, I don't read a lot of science fiction. I read I did read Foundation a long while ago, and I found it interesting. I read The Vanished Birds, which is like just one book, but it's sort of it's pretty epic. I enjoyed it.
Cool. Dominic, can you introduce yourself and your favourite piece of epic sci-fi if you have one?
Yes, I'm Dominic, and I'm playing Saffron Arnai, the Star Goat. And I don't think I'm not a big sci-fi head, but I do enjoy the silly weirdness of the 40k lore if it doesn't go too fashy or too sweaty. And I also enjoyed Star Trek Next Generation back in the day. So that's where we are.
That's cool. And Alan, who are you? And what's your favourite piece of epic sci-fi?
My name is Alan. My pronouns are he, him. And I think the first epic sci-fi I read was Foundation Empire, the Asimov series. But I think probably Dune still holds a very special place in my heart. Not all of the follow-up books. They get worse as time goes on, but Dune itself is a fantastic thing.
Yes, I think that is I think I would agree with that one. Where we've got to is we've defined our universe. Basically, it is a place where tariffs against space elves led to the entire crashing down of a space empire. Hundreds of years passed, and then a new empire decides to rise. The Emperor creates via crossbreeding with space elves the Scions, these fraternity who will lead his legions forth into space to conquer it all. And they're doing it because they've got to create a dark age to prevent a dark age, which is the sort of logical thought we're going to go with here, because these are the people we have. We're about to introduce the characters in game, because we basically start, as the final picks of card gen happen, we start doing scenes about them. So I'm going to show everybody the space map. These are the 6 factions. Everybody is going to choose a faction to be raised by. This is who your scion is closest to. Just have a think. Which is basically Space Navy, Psychic Nuns, the larger body of the Faith, the Assassin's Guild, Imperial Army and the political system of the Terran Lords. I'm going to ask you each of you in a turn. I'm going to start with Zephyran, because Dominic's already done his pick.
So the dice actually told me to go with the Terran Lords, but I think I prefer the Solar Fleet. Just the idea of the Iron Goat being the sign of transportation and infrastructure, and goats get everywhere. So that's the theme here.
That's great. Okay, the first visual, and imagine if it's a show. The first visual is a long shot of just space, and we sort of zoom in and zoom in and zoom in, and we've got this. It looks like a tiny dot, but the dot expands, gets bigger and bigger until you realise it's the size of the moon. This flagship, surrounded by other flagships, which are like from anything from a skyscraper, not flagship, other ships from a skyscraper up to a small continent. This is the heart of the Imperial fleet. We zoom closer and closer to the central flagship, and we see, making their way down the external of the spaceship towards an air dock, we see Zephyran Iron Eye. Dominic, can you give me the visual of Zephyran Iron Eye? Could you tell people what she looks like?
Sure. So she is a rather tall and lanky, and because she's a sign of the Emperor, also I imagine quite muscular, woman with like braided hair and a very like stern countenance, and like these sideways goat pupils, and she is moving towards the helm of the ship, and the audience also sees that she is heavily cybernetically modified in a way that is it is the best that humanity has to offer, because she is a Scion, but it still kind of looks clunky.
Yeah, like I say, as you make your way through towards the airlock, which opens like an iris before you, you get these little jets of steam and air freezing in the thing, and you enter the airlock. The door opens on the other side, and a woman's there to greet you. A woman who you would never call your mother, because that's not really what Scions have. She's hanging in what is kind of like a cradle from the ceiling. She's impossibly old. Like, that she's at least 500-600 years old. She remembers the fall of the Empire. She is Raven, the Void Admiral. She smiles at you, smoking a very, very long cigarette holder. She looks at you. Did you enjoy your walk, Zeph?
Sure, Auntie. Sure. We have still few months, maybe, until we get there. So, gotta make the best of our time, eh?
Yes, one must get their steps in before we step on the face of the entire universe. And I have good news, Zephyran. Please come with me. And you see her actual cradle is attached to the ceiling on a series of wires. So as she moves around the ship, she doesn't walk anymore. She's just sort of like carried around in this kind of movable palanquin. You can sort of see people like pulling the wire as you go past. Like lots of like they could probably automate it, but there's more dignity. And you walk alongside Raven, telling you what's going on. You've learned everything. You control a fleet better than I did, even when in my heyday. Zephyran, the Crusade's going to start. We're going to reclaim the galaxy. The Emperor has called you back to Terra, and he wants you to lead the armies forth.
With all due respect, but we have a parcel to deliver, and we will do that, and then we will go on the Emperor's crusade, laying the tracks, as we always do.
Well, you always were a stubborn one. I really hope he's foreseen this. And she sort of taps you and then taps the ash away, and then we pan away from you. Now, of course, now we realise this scene is set several months ago. The Emperor, of course, knew you were going to take your time, because you're Zephyran Iron Eye. You never rush. So
you made me that way.
Exactly. He knows you better than anybody. You take if you look slightly down from the Solar Fleet, you see the Solar Navy. I've given them slightly different names for reasons, because I've just messed up. You can tick both of those boxes beneath the Solar Navy on your favours section. This means basically during challenges, you can call in a favour from the Solar Navy and add an extra dice, specifically a D4. But we'll come back to that's probably the most important thing you can do in the game. But we'll come back to that one.
And I tick both boxes?
Yes, both boxes.
When would I tick only one? Just out of curiosity.
You'll find out in a bit. Basically,
Okay.
as you'll get other favors of other people as you go along. So it's just that you are closest to the Solar Navy, so you get to have more to begin with.
Got it. Thank you.
Cool. Fantastic. I'm about to say, let's go to Alan. Alan, do you want to tell me who Silent Kairos has picked for their faction?
I think it's going to be the Faith.
That's good.
Because I think that the Faith is where knowledge resides. The Faith is where knowledge will be hoarded as we sweep across the galaxy, destroying knowledge.
It's true. That sounds pretty good. I'll give you the visual. Okay, we're going another deep zoom from space, but this one is a quicker zoom, and you realise it's a ring world. Around this small sun, the rest of the solar system, all the planets in this solar system have been taken apart to build an enormous loop around the entire planet. As we zoom closer to this loop, we realise pilgrims are walking along the loop eternally, chanting the Emperor's name and various other kind of the complexities of divinity. And we zoom close specifically, we see Silent Kairos making his way around the loop. Do you want to give the visual? What does Silent Kairos look like?
Kairos there is a stillness about him even as he moves. He's gaunt of frame, hawkish of face, oiled ringlets fall down his back and around his shoulders. And as he walks, he tears strips of a scroll.
That's beautiful. As you're doing this and your own private devotions, an enormous creature lumbers close to you. You don't even need to respond. You know who it is. It is the Anchorite Museum, the head of the faith. The Anchorite has been put inside this enormous battle suit, and he is trapped forever inside it, with tiny eye slits out the front. But there's a load of the most precious quasi-heretical documents in the entire space-time continuum is in there with him. He lurches forward. There's bursts of steam from the vents. We've seen Zephran's tech, and it's very similar, but instead of actual steam, incense bursts out between the vents of the armor. He speaks in the voice for the mumbled speakers. Kairos, it is time. The age prophesied and told of in scripture has arrived. The Empire is beginning a new and great offensive. Faith will be brought, the flame of the galaxy. The galaxy will see the brightness, even as it burns. Oh, Kairos, thank you. The time has come. You must head to Terra immediately.
I hear the word of the Emperor. I obey the word of the Emperor. Yeah. May the faith flare brightly. That's
good. And the Anchorite says, remember that the fleet and the army are often less pure than we are. They are the means rather than the ends. You cannot entirely trust them.
They are tools of faith no more.
Brilliant. Okay, we'll hard cut away to Stephen. Who does Salandris, the Star Empire, as the Star Eater, choose?
I was torn. I guess I'll go with the Terran Lords.
Terran Lords are fun. Yeah, they're all good, I think. They're in different ways. Yeah. Okay, you are basically, there's another deep zoom from space, and this time it is much simpler in that it's an entire solar system of 200, 300 worlds, small worlds though, zooming around a small star. These are all individual homes of various Terran Lords. They won't all be there because this is where they come to. And we're zooming close to the central one, which is walking on the surface of the sun, because you've got a particular heat-absorbent force field, which basically allows you to walk and see the plasma burning beneath you. Do you want to give the visual of Salandris?
Salandris is wearing silver armor inlaid with coiling serpents. They have piercing, burning eyes, long flowing golden hair, and a golden halo that backlights them.
That's brilliant.
They're sipping a fine wine decanted from the finest star stuff as they view the burning sun beneath them.
Yeah. And walking towards you is someone you know well. It's a robot, very unlike the technology we've seen so far. It is elegant and beautiful and smooth. It moves like a Soletta across space, made of a kind of like flexible metal. It's the Assembly. The Assembly is a droid, which is the embodiment of the entire Terran Lords. It speaks slanderous. 97% of the Terran Lords give you welcome and bid you well.
I see. Have the 3% of the Terran Lords executed.
I will pass that message to the other Terran Lords. And there's a pause there. 100% of the Terran Lords agree a message should be delivered to you.
Wonderful.
The Emperor calls you to him. Your Radiance. Your Radiance must travel across the galaxy to Terra and lead the fleet's force. The Terran Lords understand your Radiance's time has come.
It's only natural. I hope Zephyrin does not keep our Lord waiting too long.
37% think he won't, and I think the rest are wiser. It sort of pauses and it says, "It is the majority decision of the Assembly. We think this is a place of great opportunity. The Terran Lords, of course, are both the ruling party. We make things happen, but also we are those who are ruled. You know, the faith speaks to the heart of the matter, the people's heart, but we actually ensure they are fed. We ensure everything. It's important to play the balance here. No one can grow too strong. This is the majority decision of the Assembly, and it is the majority decision who believe that it is best to say to it cleanly. Slanderous. 75% of you think you're the smartest of your siblings, and the other 25% wish you to prove them wrong. 98.7. He pauses. 98.9% of the Terran Lords think you will succeed in this task.
I pause and think for a moment. That's acceptable.
That's great. And fantastic. We can now, I'd say everybody, both Silent Kairos and Salandros both take 2 ticks in their requisite things. Yeah. Which is fantastic. Both, I would say, with the final shot of each sequence is your own flagship launches and heads towards Terra. And I'd like to give you a chance to sort of think about what does your flagship of your kind of like Legion look like? I'll start with Zephyrin. What does your ship traveling the long distance towards Earth look like?
I imagine that it looks very utilitarian. It has a like sheen of bronze and iron, probably not much in the way of like paint on it. And it is a transport ship where a lot of the cargo space has been replaced with weaponry.
Nice. In my head, it's like kind of like it's the A-Team's van, but on a space scale with infinite.
But it's also bigger than any other transport ship in the galaxy, obviously.
Oh yeah, without doubt. Fantastic. Yeah. What about you, Alan? What's Silent Kairos' ship heading towards Earth like?
It is the Fist of Faith.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Hangs in space. What about you, Salandros?
I think my ship is long and like, or did you want a name or just the
description? Some people do. Basically, this is very free. It's like, how do you? I'm kind of like just defining fun things about yourself, as in like, what's your ship like? What's your vibe?
Yeah, I think it is terrifying, almost blasphemous, long serpentine coils trail behind it, just extracting resources from whatever it passes. Like it just passively, loots and pillages as it passes through space.
That's great. It's almost like a jellyfish in that kind of way. It's sort of like the long tendril. I like the tendril visual as well. That's really quite elegant. That's beautiful. All your three ships converge on Holy Terror at once. It's what once was the heart of the human space empire has been rebuilt dozens of times over. It's like the Gorman, the novel Gormenghast. It's a variety of cities built on top of each other, collapsed in on each other, like some kind of a Drunkard's gone berserk. Bits where the elves were more involved, bits where the elves' scratches were desecrated. You all kind of come into land at the main docks. And simultaneously, all three of you get off your ship. It had to be arranged like this because if any of you arrived earlier, there might have been trouble. You have to all be seen equal before the Empire. I said I would stop at 3. I think it's worth doing the next bit and then stopping maybe about 3:10. Is that okay? Okay. You all look at each other and you remember the past because whilst this is the start of the main thrust of the Empire, you've all been on adventures before. The space that's been carved forth has been done by your hands and the hand of the Navy and the Empire and everything else. I think you're going to just choose it. So I'm looking at the pick lists. Okay, let's start with Salandros in this time. Salandros, you look at Dominic and you remember a time. You were in trouble. I'm going to give you a pick list so you can pick one. You were shipwrecked on a feral sentient asteroid. You were ambushed by the shark pirates in the solar void. You were basically involved in a siege on Cadia, the war planet, outgunned by a demonic incursion, or about to be executed for a minor social faux pas in a first contact diplomatic situation. Which one of those is true? And can you tell me a bit about it and why it had gone wrong for you?
I think it was the siege on the war planet. I think that what went wrong, and I think this just set up for Zephyrin, since their thing is technology. I think that the we had planned to deploy our Okeo Tech gravity disruptors and fling them all into space. But those had finally failed, and we were outnumbered by the demonic incursion.
That's fantastic. And Zephyrin, do you want to say how you saved the day? How did you come in and save Salandros from that fate?
Yes. Since we were outnumbered anyway, or they were outnumbered, I answered the call, and me and my Navy came right on time to pick them up and bring them to safety.
That's great. And there's that moment you kind of the planet fell but was reclaimed, and this is kind of the moment of bond between you. Both of you take a bond with each other, which you basically do by just writing the character's name.
I if that's okay, I don't think it was reclaimed. I think I picked them up, and with my reputation of rage, I just demolished the planet and the demons on it.
Cool, that's fantastic. Cadia as a card also may turn up in the game, but like that allows it will build up from the fact it was just at least destroyed once by Zephyrin. Cool.
Or at least heavily bombarded it.
No. I think flattening is great. Let's destroy. If we haven't destroyed a planet in the first hour of play, what's the point of doing it? Fantastic. Both you take a bond with each other, which is just basically, as you see, Salandros has done one. Okay, but there's a moment. Dominic remembers that time, then glances over at Silent Kairos, and you remember a different time. You were about to have something really good happen to you, Zephyrin. You were about to conquer a gang rebellion on Necromunda. You're competing in the Emperor's Games in the Plasma Lands competition, and we're about to win the day. And there was a special gift the Emperor was about to give you.
I think I was winning the tournament.
Okay. Do you want to describe how that went? What does the Plasma Lands tournament look like?
Plasma Lands tournament. I imagine that we ride genetically engineered beasts, and they're all very standardized. So it's all down to the skill of the rider.
Great.
And we have set plasma lances, who are just like a knight's tournament, and I just, channel some of my latent psionic energy through the lance, and that won me the day against the reigning champion.
Yeah. It was like literally you'd won the battle, but unfortunately you didn't win the tournament, because what did Silent Kairos do that made Silent Kairos win the tournament? Actually, rephrase that, to make sure Zephyrin didn't win.
His beast was drugged.
You also.
we don't know by whom.
Oh, of course.
In the semi-finals, I think you'll discover.
Yeah. Specifically, he needs to know. He needs to be pissed off with you in some reason. Is the
thing. Then I told him afterwards.
Fantastic. And
I don't say a lot, but what I do say matters.
Was enough to harbor a grudge.
Little. Both of you take a bond with each other. Because one of the things about bonds you need to remember is bonds aren't necessarily positive. They're just powerful experiences with each other.
Where do bonds live on
if you scroll down beneath name die progression by glory and pain, there's bonds, and you just basically fill them in manually there.
Starting in line 39.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Thank you. But then there's a moment when Kairos is aware of the tension between the two of you, and you glance over, but look at Slandros. I remember a time when, of course, he came to your aid, and the options on the pick list are shipwrecked on a feral sentient asteroid, ambushed by the shark pirates, or about to be executed for a minor social faux pas in a first contact situation.
I think about to be executed for a faux pas in a first contact situation.
Brilliant. Do you want to describe what went wrong there?
Yes. I was bringing the glory of the faith to a planet as bid, and they failed to understand.
You were quoting scripture at length, and they just
exactly
moved.
And it was as though they didn't hear me.
Moodus. Salandras, how did you come to Silent Kairos' aid? How did you save him from that fate?
My host laid waste to the city, to the planet. Those that survived would be inducted into the faith and allowed to serve the faith on our labor worlds.
Right.
That's fine.
That's good. That's the demonstration. It's all about your styles.
Yeah.
This is there's definitely no right answer to any of these. It's just kind of how because Slandras really is a monster, and it's I'm highly enjoying it.
That's so lacking in subtlety.
Yeah. It's anyway, everyone takes up one bond with everyone else, which is great. So now everyone's got one bond each. So everyone has the glance between them, and you start marching together in lockstep towards the main chamber, which is this enormous cathedral. Statues of you, the Scions, both you and the Lost Ones, are around the edge of the chamber, and on an enormous throne sits the Emperor, with his enormous dark black eyes, the holy radiance that glows across the entire room, and the heavy cybernetics bursting steam from his body. And he looks out and he starts to speak. My children, the time has... At which point, tiny portals in space open up around him. Tiny voids open, and figures made of like the void itself burst through, plasma beams alive. And we'll pause for a second. I'm having a little break and come back in 1:15. Is that good? It's an assassination attempt on the Emperor, guys. Right, see you in a bit. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Before we dive back into this assassination attempt, anyone got any questions or thoughts, anything they want to check in on?
Only one thing about where I put my 2 ticks for the faith's favors in the adoptive faction bit.
Yes.
Whereas the others have put them in the bit below. And
It
I
should be
if it made a difference.
It should be in the bit below for reasons.
Fine.
I'm going to delete those boxes in a minute because I'm not quite sure what they're even for anymore in this. So I'm hacking someone else's sheet. I'm not sure what those boxes are for. There is actually one other thing you've got to pick before we jump back into the action, because I forgot. You get to tick 2 more boxes of things you have relationships with. So, like, you put 2 in 1 or 1 in 2. So choose which ones you would like. That's great. I'm just checking.
I changed around my domains. I made war my D8. I decided.
Yeah, it's like you do seem quite war-y. Fantastic. Right. The way Paragon Systems, and specifically this game as well, works is very ritualized. What I'm going to do is I'll describe the situation, but I'll call a challenge, and I'll normally say what the challenge is. It'll be a challenge of war, and I'll give you a number you've got to beat. After that, what I normally do is I describe who among the Scions will face this challenge. Consider carefully. What I would like players to do, you stop then and work out your dice pool, and then after a little while, I'll go well or something, and everyone will basically say if we're going to join the challenge or not. The way I suggest doing it, actually describing the challenge rules, is they indicate the participation in the contest in descending glory order. We'll come to that in a minute. The players declare the dice they've selected in the form of a statement. It could be like a captain's log, an order to a subordinate, of what equipment to gather, or internal narration before the battle. Basically, a short little bit, a burst of fiction that explains what dice you're going for. Worth noting at this stage, you don't justify the dice. Like it is a game that basically relies on faith, and it's the reason why I've added like that small gap to think about it before doing your dice is if you want to ask questions, and especially Leon, you probably will. It's that's when we do it before we all burst in and do our narration, which is meant to be exciting. The examples I give are Fargon. Quartermaster, this is Fargon the Bloodthirsty. Ready the Bloodthirsters for invasion. Ready the Psychic Specialist support, and I don't care if it burns us out. And also contact the Assassin's College and remind them we owe us. They owe us. I've got a surprise in mind. And that's basically Fargon, his name dice. Bloodthirsty, reputation dice. Ready the Bloodthirsters for invasion, an allusion to the challenge being a war one. Ready the Psychic Specialist support. I don't care if it burns out. Which is spend a pain to gather second domain dice. I'll come back to that in a minute. And contact the Assassin's Guild and remind them they owe us, spending a favour. Okay, that's an example. So basically, just say what dice you've got in a cool way, and by alluding to what they are in the fiction. The way your dice pool is, from the top, it's always get your name, which for everybody at the moment is the D6. That'll increase as the game goes on. If you think your reputation is relevant, you add that too. So another D6 for everybody. You add the relevant domain, which is whatever size dice it is. If you want to add a second domain, you can spend a pain. You can see in the bottom page, you tick a pain box, and you can add a second domain of your choice. I'll come back to pain in a minute. If you spend the bond, you can add the other person's name dice. In other words, if you spend your bond with Zephran, you can add their D6 name. And if you spend a favour with any of your political organizations, you add a D4. You'll note you actually have a bond with the Emperor, which is a D12. So in other words, that's a bigger bond. There's also advantages, which is extra dice you can get, which jump in, but we'll get to them when you actually have some of them. What the players do is you roll all that dice, you take the 2 highest dice and add them together, and then add the best D4 you have. So in other words, you're really fishing for big numbers on big dice, and then the D4 is always extra bonuses. Like the meta-analysis of the game, if you want to have, you're really fishing for 2 scores of 5+. Like 2 scores of 5+ will beat the average Chaos player challenge. So that's the kind of thing to think about. However, you will know the number you've got to beat before you assemble your dice pool. Right. What happens then is everybody rolls, and we'd arrange them in order. So if you manage to match or beat the score I rolled, the Chaos player, you've succeeded. You've triumphed. If you roll less than that, you don't. You suffer, and you don't succeed. Then the ratio, and if you roll highest, you're best, and that means you get to defeat the bad guy or beat whatever the challenge is. The way the narration works is I'll describe the setup, but the persons if you fail, you describe how you try to do stuff, and it doesn't work out, and everyone else builds on everyone else's kind of response. So if you succeed, you can describe doing well but not finishing it off. Ideally, you want to sort of form a chain of people setting things up narratively, and I will also add stuff interjecting between you. Does that make sense in terms of a structure? It's the sort of thing that it will, if you played it, it will eventually click, but it's definitely something that takes some teething. In this case, I would normally say what domain it is. In this case, you're allowed to pick your domain. So in other words, you can choose to face this challenge, whether it's with war, cunning, technology, or natural, whichever you wish. You probably want to pick your best one, but you don't have to. In the narrative, you should just justify how you using that to defeat these strange assassins. Anyone got any questions about the basics? Cool. Right, I'm going to pull together my dice pool, which
could you, because fictionally all I remember happening is it's a bunch of little portals open up. So I don't. What's the challenge here?
Yeah. I'll restate the fiction in a minute. Basically, restate the fiction. We are in the central hall where the Emperor's throne is. He's standing there, majestic. Your father, begatting you by breeding with aliens in this thing. All of you are there. Your legion are there as well. Soldiers marching behind you in order. These portals are opening up your space all around him. Specifically, some are appearing near him, but others are jumping out. Others appearing all over the hall. These kind of aliens, are they thin? Are they thin like elves? Are they just weirdly warped? You can't tell. They're wearing what we are going to call void suits. They look like space. They're basically stealth warriors of an undetermined species, or even they could be aliens. They could be from other planets. They're all armed with energies that blaze that crackle with an unknown energy. They're all trying to kill the Emperor. So the challenge is, can anyone stop the Emperor being assassinated and beat back these awful murderers who are bringing violence to our halls of peace? I gather towards their dice pool. So their dice pool is a D8 for their name, which is murderous aliens, and they've got 2 D6s, which is for stealth technology and mysterious energy blades. The energy blades are dangerous, which means if you actually fail this roll, if you go against them, you will suffer a pain. That's the kind of setup. So I'll roll. The way my dice pool works slightly differently. What I do is I take the best dice and add a number to it. The best dice, this question is 6. The number I add to it is 4. The entire first year of this game use 4 as the number I add. In the second year, it becomes 5. So it's slightly easier to begin with. So the number you've got to beat is 10 to actually save the Emperor. Okay, so who will face this challenge and save the Emperor? Think carefully, Scions. I know. Pull together your dice pool or ask me questions.
Yes, I think my hawk-like aspect spots this happening, and I act.
I'll pause for a second. Pause. The really important thing about Aegon: you do not define anything. You don't ask any. There's no fiction defined until we roll.
Until we roll.
Yeah. It's the weirdest thing about fiction. Everyone wants to do it, and you just assemble the dice, does it, and then you work out.
Yeah. 6.
Just I will start, because the thing I will do, and stop me if I do this, is I will ask you to roll the dice before I roll. So I've got to roll before. That's the thing I've tended to forget. So that's the thing you must hit me for.
So now we decide who among us 3 reacts first, or
no. Basically, you assemble your dice pools. Is what you do now.
Everybody does that.
Yeah. So basically, if you want to join in the challenge, which you probably do for the first one,
yeah,
let's assume you're going to join in the challenge in the first one, because you probably would. There's a way to assist, but I don't think you want to do that as of yet, because it's an extra rule. You basically decide you pull together what dice pool you want to use, and then you do a big kind of a sort of a brief description and fiction of what dice you're using. So it could be, I use the examples of an order it could be an internal monologue. It could be, or etc. So basically, you pull together the dice you want to use. So at the very least, it'll be your name. So it'll be your name, a domain of your choice, in this case. Normally it would be chosen by me. Your reputation, if you think it's relevant. It may not be. That's entirely up to you if you think so, and we'll worry about that later. If you want to have a second domain, you can burn a pain to activate a second domain of your choice. If you want to spend a favor, that adds a D4. And if you want to spend a bond with either the Emperor or one of your brothers, your siblings, you can spend that as well. So that's how you get the dice pool. And and to get that to work, you need to get 2 of your dice need to be 5+. Or if you throw a D4, that changes the odds as well, obviously, because a D4 adds to every dice except for D4 is the 2 best of, and D4 adds to it. So let's say you rolled your name. If you roll your name, your reputation, and your domain, your best domain, there'll be a D8 and 2 D6s, and that'll be ideally trying to get the best 2 to beat 10. And if you had a D4, it would be. I don't want to do the math of it. Basically, an average. Let's say you roll an average of 2. You're trying to roll an 8. I guess. Does that make sense? I'm trying to go deep into the math. Really, it's
I wouldn't bother. You just want a lot of big dice.
I was like, basically, you're fishing for big numbers, and the D4 makes it easier. Is the way I would describe it in the cheat mode.
And we get the D4 by narratively including our factions, right?
No, you spend one of those faction points.
Mm-hmm.
So you see, you've got like 3 factions you can spend. So if you untick one of those boxes, you can add a D4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then after you've rolled the dice, we then do the narrations in turn in ascending dice roll order.
When do the factions refresh?
Okay. They refresh at the end of a year. We haven't got to the campaign yet, just to know what the year is. But you get 2 extra ones at the end of the year, and you get extra ones by completing missions during the year. So by doing stuff for the factions, you get more favors, and you get 2 free ones at the end of the year. So it's a precious resource, but it's also a resource to be used.
So if I use it now, it won't refresh until the end of the year.
Yeah, you'd have 3 more turns to get any more to transfer, unless you do missions. Which, to be honest, there's quite a lot of missions. Cool. Or other missions are generated contextually in the game. Sort of words.
Okay, I got my pool. I'm waiting for the command to roll.
Okay, have everyone got their pools? Right, now we do the narration of your pool. So, anyone want to go first to do this?
Sure. I mobilize the Imperial Guard, disable their psionic blockers. I will be controlling them personally in battle against the assassins. For the glory of the Emperor and the glory of my radiance.
Brilliant. I was like, since it's the first time through, do you want to say what your dice pool is, just so everyone knows?
Oh yeah, I'm invoking my name, my reputation, war. I am spending a point of pain to also invoke a natural, and I am spending a favor from the Imperial Army to bring the guard in as like my servants.
Cool. It's like that's perfectly done, and thank you for that. The explanation is perfect. Worth noting, one of the things is favors can be, as you've used, like military. It could be advice. It could be technology. It could, you know what I mean? Like you get to define it very broadly.
I don't turn to the army for advice.
I'm Amelia tutorial, Sandra, so I'd never question your standing there. Fantastic. Okay, Dominic, do you want to do Zephyran's internal monologue?
Yes, so I am enraged by this incursion on the Sacred Throne Room. So that is my rage reputation, and my always passively running analysis software and hardware is picking up on this incursion in time for me to react very quickly and smite them with my Silence staff.
Brilliant. And Kairos, what is your? Will you face this challenge?
I will. And I think the camera picks up a raised eyebrow as Kairos begins to notice his hawk-like eyes pick out the first glimmer of these portals, and we flash back. Camera stays on the eye, but we are now in a room with a number of priests, and he says, "I am Kairos Bookwise. I would know what the future holds, and so I am Kairos. I am invoking my reputation for the prophecy, and the prophecy, I'm going to cash a favor with the faith because they have prophesied this event, but it is in the secret stacks of prophecies. I think this is a cunning approach, but I'm going to spend pain to get technology, because as I grip the flail of souls, my whip of pain, I must invest some of myself to get most from it.
That's fantastic. I love that. So I'd recommend everyone spend resources as you add them to your dice pool in that kind of way. That just so it's very easy to forget to spend them. So you need to take a pain and spend the advance. That's fantastic, everyone. That was really beautifully done. I want to explicitly, if I was doing early star, Frankie, everyone nailed that. Roll your dice pools. Good luck, people.
Oh.
Are they all the same? Is there a way to change the color?
Yeah, if you actually click your manage, if you manage your players, you can actually. So you click the top left, and it says you can change your name.
Can I change the color too?
Oh,
I think you can, but like mostly you'll probably be looking in the right. You're probably doing the math in the right corner anyway.
Yeah. Saffron.
Edit. I can. So no, tell me. I'm struggling to get different colors.
I got a 14. Looks like the two highest plus my D4.
Yes.
Okay.
Which one? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, you've got 14, which is definitely right.
Okay, then I'll just re-roll quickly.
You can just click on your die pool, and it will show you what you got.
Yeah.
Still yellow on those dice. Okay.
Oh, I see.
Zephron, did you add your D4 though?
No, I didn't burn any D4 things.
Sorry, for some reason I thought you did. Ignore me. So Zephron's total is
sad is what it is.
it's not good. 6. It's a bad roll or an unfortunate roll. That means you fail. And what about you, Silent Kairos?
Oh dear, disappointing.
It's still enough. It's best 2 of 4s plus the D4, which is a 4. That takes you to 12. Okay, this is actually really good for the sake of the actual demonstration. That Dominic,
yes, one at every level.
Exactly. Yeah. Dominic suffers, so you fail. That means you also it's a damaging weapon, so you'll suffer pain. So your narration should probably include that. Kairos succeeded, but he didn't. It isn't best. And while Salandros finishes off and saves the Emperor. So I'll set up the scene again briefly, and then Dominic can take over the narration. The hall is full of these assassins bursting out of portals, slashing with his uncanny blades. Zephron, what happens next?
I with a roar of rage, jump into the puddle, and I managed to hold them off from assassinating the Emperor just yet, but at the cost of them wounding me. I fight them off, but they are too many and they're too skillful for just one lonely Scion to fight back.
Brilliant. Okay, like Zephron I is being dragged back, stabbed by the blades. Kairos, what happens next?
Capitalizing on the gap that Zephron at least managed to provide, if only by the fact that they're focused on him, I leap directly to my father's aid. But the prophecy was imprecise about the arrival of these creatures. And so, though I hold off with the Flayer of Souls, the one I thought was going to be nearest to him, alas, one materializes behind me, between me and my father.
No, it's so close and the blade's in front of you. Salandros, how do you save the day and triumph?
I mean, Kairos tries to be clever. He doesn't know that that the purpose of the army is to be spent. Bodies line up, are quickly, many are quickly cut down by these assassins as they make their approach. A few go mad since I've shut down their psionic dampeners. I kill them as I pass to prevent them from falling to chaos. And eventually, as I walk over the bodies of the dead, my own, and the assassins, I fling my trident into the one near the Emperor while snapping the neck of the one behind Kairos.
That's fantastic. But the actual whoever these intruders are, they know they're beaten. They entirely disappear back into the portals. Their broken bodies coming back to the warp. They close, and suddenly the violence is over. Zephyran is bleeding over the steps, but most of all, the Emperor's bleeding on the steps, fallen to one knees, leaking black blood and black oil. He looks at Salandrus and says, "Salandrus, your radiance. You must lead them forth. They cannot. The entire galaxy is afraid. They want a true dark age. And we can save them from this. You, the Radiance, can save them from this. Go. You must, do this whilst I recover."
You choose well, my liege.
And he sort of slumps back, and we pull out. And that's if that's the movie, it's the prologue. We'll get the big operatic theme tune kicking in, the Scions, and that's our prologue. Everyone earns glory now. Glory is basically how you decide who's best. Unfortunately, Zephyran, since you failed, you only get one glory. Which is still some glory.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you feel glory in the box above pain.
Of course I do.
Yes. Because that's probably saying something about life.
Yes.
Silent Kairos, you did pretty well. That means you get half of the total. So you get 5 glory. However, Salandrus, you get the full 10 glory of the score you beat.
Mm-hmm.
So the harder it is, the more points people get. Which is one of those things. This is one of the ways you get stronger. If you look to the right, there's dice progression. When your glory hits 80, your name becomes D8. It hits 200, you get D10. And you get 440, you get D12. So that's one way of getting stronger. You'll notice pain. Pain is basically your replenishable hit points to be less interesting and cool. Pain, at the end of every year in the game, your pain will replenish. If your pain is actually filled up and you hit agony, you start taking damage. Damage doesn't replenish ever. So basically, the second you start going into that bottom bar, it will stay even if you get your pain back. There's an upside to that, by the way. If you hit any of those green bars, 1, you describe how your body has been permanently changed by the injury. So it's a good place to get cool new cybernetics. And 2, you get an advancement. So in other words, by doing badly, you get advancements. The other way of getting advancements is by completing missions. If you complete enough missions for a faction, you get an advancement too. So they're the two other ways you get stronger. So you get stronger by glory, gives you name dice, and you get advancements by completing missions or suffering and learning from it. Everything. And that's basically the setup. We can now move on to what is the campaign year. Has anyone any questions at this stage about what I've just said? Fantastic. Let's call up the map. Right. Okay, the way the game works is there is a campaign year. There are 3 seasons of war and 1 season of rest, which are basically spring, summer, and fall and winter. And you get to go on 1 mission in every single of the campaigning months. Dominic, can you turn your mic on silent for a second, just because I'm getting echo back from you?
Of course. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, no, it's cool. So basically, you get to pick 1 mission. The way this works then is everyone gets to go on 1 separate mission. Let me explain this better again. At the start of the year, we draw new cards. You draw as many cards as there are players. So we're going to have 3 possible missions at once. Then we have a scene where you debate what to do. And then you all choose which missions you're going to go on. You can go on the same one, and therefore completing on the same mission, or you go on different ones to kind of spread the thing. And each mission will have its own consequences and fallout. The way the game kind of works is everything kind of cascades depending on what persons goes where. You choose on missions in descending order. So in other words, the person with highest glory picks the mission first, then down to the bottom. Worth noting that they can absolutely choose to do whatever they want at any stage. afterwards. So in other words, the person with highest glory commits first, and everyone else can choose an option they said they wouldn't. So there's a low level of not necessarily collaboration going on. And that's basically it. Like, I'm going to draw the card. Actually, the deck is on the left. Which players like to draw one card each, and you just put it in the middle bit of the card, like here. So, one player, yeah. But don't flip it. 1 second, I'm going to recall all the cards. One. Okay, just stop. Yeah, it's okay. I'm just going to shuffle everything. Oops. And go. Let's go with that one. Okay, draw the cards across. So one each. There you go. Oh wow, 3 complicated ones. Wow, these are generally quite tricky cards ones to start the game. We're going to establish the scene where Slandrus, since you're abstractly in charge at the moment, where do you reckon the Scions meet to discuss what's going on in the galaxy?
Well, obviously in my feasting hall on the surface of the sun.
That's a good view. Okay, you're meeting there. So the shot you're going to get is basically all 3 of you around this very big long table, circular, like the sun you're on, eating like sun meals, essentially this glowing food that's been prepared for you. And the sub-assembly is attending you, which is a robot like the assembly, but less kind of dramatic. Like it's certainly less complicated. It's like it moves. It's basically serving you like a butler would. Like it's giving you all dishes and your favorite foods. Actually, I'm genuinely interested. What's everyone's favorite food? Kairos, what do you like eating?
Unmute. Sorry. What do I enjoy eating? Dry bread.
Brilliant. Bread that has been basically kept just close enough to the sun to go completely as dry as it could be, untouched by moisture. Almost like powdered bread is on a plate in front of you, passed by the sub-assembly. What about Zephyr and Dominic?
I think since we have to do with, we have to stretch our rations thin when we're out in space, more often than not, I think when I am planet side and I can eat whatever I want, I like to indulge in scrunches, soft meats, cakes, all the good stuff.
That's great. So this enormous, like, compared to the Kairos's very narrow bread, this enormous kind of like almost like kids' party feast is in front of you of jellies made from obscure sweets and stuff. What about Slandrus? Yes. What do you eat?
I mean, Kairos threw that out, and I think it's a spitted goat.
That's fine. Yeah, I like that.
The head is placed the head is plated in front of Zephyrin, yes, while the meat is served to me.
Slandrus, I will break my fast on this gift of goat alongside my usual repast.
I trust you don't mean to antagonize me, Brother Slandrus. The symbology of this is not lost on me.
We merely eat, brother.
Well, next time we're on my ship, it's going to be squid then.
Come, Zephyrin, take this in the spirit it is offered. It is merely recognizing your well-earned wounds in your attempt to save our father.
Saffron stares at you for a moment too long and then says, yes.
Right. The sub-assembly decides to cut into the tension. There is certain matters of import. In fact, mostly most pressing matters are import. There is news from there is an alien species who has reached out and wishes to actually interact and come to understand us better. There is a spaceship at the absolute edge of our known galaxy, signaling wishes to contact immediately. We know nothing of that creature. There's also both interesting news. The famous Ultra Thief has finally been captured and is about to be executed on Necromunda for their many, many, many crimes. They will be executed unless someone chooses to defend them. And I'm sure there is some thought that the Ultra Thief would be an interesting ally if they only could actually be brought under the Empire's command. And of course, there is a Space Hulk that has fell out of a demonic dimension and is kind of wandering through space. It seems deeply unstable and is going to return. Of course, there is signal from aboard it. There's something aboard it of interest that might be able to rescue before we go. These are all interesting matters you can choose. Just go to rules for a second. Each one of these cards is basically let me just call up the thing. Each one of these cards includes basically the rules for it. There's actually a complete separate booklet of which I'm still writing of what the encounters actually are, but these are the core things. These are all single challenges. The relevant one in all of these is in the bottom left. These are all discard challenges. In other words, if you don't do them this turn, they'll disappear and be discarded. So in other words, you have one chance. Other ones have they don't have discards, they hang around. Other ones are flips, so they automatically will flip if you don't go and do them. And stuff like that. If you succeed in the challenge, you will get to flip the card and see what's there. That's like one of the core kind of things in the game. The challenges basically describe the challenge dice involved to them. So the first contact is D6 name, inscrutable D8, and they are challenging. A challenge, if that's a challenging tag, it means you have to spend a favor to even enter the challenge. So it costs a favor to even do it. The Ultra Trial is a D8 challenge, intricate arguments D8, humiliating D8, risky, and invulnerable. In other words, you can't go to war on it, is the main actual limit there. Risky means if you fail the challenge, you'll also lose a favor. And the Space Hulk is unstable and perilous, dangerous. Dangerous means it's the same as the first one, as in you'll lose, you'll suffer pain if you fail the roll. The challenges, I don't actually state what the challenges are, but they're kind of up to your guessing. You'd probably guess that the first two are cunning, trial, or cunning, and the last one could be almost anything as well. So, and I'll skip back to the fiction, and all the three of you can now debate who wants to do what and where and how.
And mechanically, I just want to clarify, when you say that you can't go to war on it, does that mean that you can't invoke the war domain at all, even if you spent a pain point there?
Yes,
okay.
That's exactly what I mean.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're good to ask. That's absolutely it. Right, shall I leave the screen up, or would you rather go to the reduce the screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
I have my tab.
Good. Cool.
So going to the edge of the known universe to make first contact sounds like a mission for the goat.
I'm not at all interested in the Space Hulk. I am quite taken with the other. I'm just trying to work out just how high the trial could get.
It's not that bad. I mean, we'd average to about, it could be like 12. 12 is kind of pretty reliable. It's a tricky one, but 12 isn't that bad.
Yeah.
It's worth noting, the reason why it's risky is, of course, is the public humiliation of losing the argument.
Yes.
And it's worth noting, you can both go to the same one as well if you'd rather concentrate your efforts.
Well, if I had an option, I would attempt to convince the world that the Ultra is in fact Yes, I think I want to try to defend the Ultra.
Brilliant. Slandrus, what are your thoughts on this?
Kairos can go and defend thieves if he wishes. I will go and see to this Hulk that has chosen to violate our space.
Brilliant. So I just growled because I haven't given any missions. That's what I should have. Like, you can give missions now, but I can also give missions in a second, which I probably will. Brilliant. Okay, in which case, like, everyone sort of made their pitch, and it says, now are we able to progress to actually claiming the missions? Cool. In which case, Slandrus, you have highest glory. In which case, you pick first. Where are you going?
Yeah, I'll go to the Space Hulk. I don't want to go somewhere where I can't use my war die.
Yeah. Cool. Fantastic. Then Kairos is second highest. In which case, where'd you go?
The Trial.
Cool. And Zephyran, are you going to stick to your promise, or are you going to go do something else?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
What incredibly well organised young people you are. I said it's a little early while someone stabbing each other in the back for no reason yet. Right, now we basically do these roles in turn. I will probably drag, maybe less so in this kind of point, but I'll drag in other people to possibly do NPCs. I quite often use floating cast in this game, so like one of you becomes the assistant or like that. So if that's a kind of a floating thing. It's one of these games where like the core mechanic is so quick, you want to ground it in fiction. Is my kind of thought. And let's do it in. I forgot which order it is. Is it descending or ascending order? I think we'll do descending order this time because the Space Hawk is fun. Right, Slandrus. The image I'm going to give you is your this Space Hawk. It's like it's various machines merged together from like, were there several ships? Is it one ship that's been fragmented out in particles? You know, like imagine if like it was trapped in time, then all the individual moments of time became one blob. Or is it just multiple ships? It's really hard to tell. You never want to look at it again. It's horrific. It tumbles through space, and there is a distress call from deep inside it. As you're approaching, you realise one of your aides brings you news. I was about to say, like, Kai, Alan, Zephyr, even want to play Slandrus's aide, one of their Space Marines.
Oh yes, Your Radiance.
Brilliant. In my head, the two words prompts are going to do is utterly subservient, complete suck up. The news you're going to bring is this place is infected. This place is covered with shark pirates. They're using it as a base, and you're going to have to shoot their way through them. So bring that news to Slandrus.
Your Radiance. I bring news from the Sensor Suite.
Speak quickly, for speak quickly for before I grow tired of you.
The ship is infected with opposition. We will need to blast through it in order to reach the Hulk itself. I am your servant in all things.
Pirates, and I shrug. Prepare the full battery of the ship of our cannons. We will lay waste to them.
As you say, so shall it be done.
A message has just arrived, though, by the way. The Blade Guild has delivered a beautiful box, and you open it, and inside it is actually inscribed dagger. This is how the Mistress of Blades likes to communicate. She puts writing on weapons, and it reads quite simply: we have need of a shark pirate to interrogate. If you would get one for us, we would appreciate it. This is what the game calls a request. Factions will do two things: requests and demands. The requests are you can say no, there's no problem. Demands are much more like there'll be a fallout if you don't say yes. Basically, this means you add a disadvantage basically to my dice pool if you want to try to do this. If you want to try to capture a shark, you add an extra. I get an extra d6 to my dice pool.
Sure. I take the blade and I fling it into the shoulder of the soldier that has brought this message to me. See that delivered to the prison galley.
Brilliant. Dominic, do you want to play the person who's just got a knife thrown at them for a second?
No, that was Alan.
Oh, Alan. Okay, yeah. Okay, Alan, please jump on being thrown up with a knife, because I generally like this man.
Your gift is welcomed, O Lord.
You are welcome.
Brilliant. I need to give that. We need to give that person a name. Right. Now we go to the dice pools. This is a challenge of This is a challenge of war. I gather my dice pool, which is D6, D8, D6, D6, as in D8, 2 D6s, and a third D6 because you're trying to do the mission of capturing a shark pirate. I roll them. Best one is a 6. It's the first year, so it's 4. So the total is 10. So relatively easy. So best I'll describe the situation. The ship is basically the shark pirates are getting ready. They kind of sense the ship's coming. The shark pirates are literally just a terror of the dimension. Like half these awful, like these tiny eyes, these awful jaws. These, they're like entirely anarchistic, entirely anti the empire. An eternal major problem with the ongoing situation, and they're ready for you. Do you face this challenge? Consider carefully, Scion.
Of course I do. I will not turn my back on pirates.
Brilliant.
And let's see here. I'm making my die pool. I bring my ship to bear. I do not attempt any sort of stealth or trickery as Kairos might. I display the full might of the Emperor, and I think I like that. I draw on some technology I had demanded of Zephyrin at our last meeting, and this is me, or can I not unless he's here with me?
You can understand. You can use bombs wherever, so you can use them with flashlights. What you don't need to do is define it yet.
Okay, yeah.
As in, like, you can say I'm going to use a bond, or like then you define what it means later.
Okay, but I thought I was supposed to like narrate it in character. That me. I thought that's what you said. Like the I'm not saying what happens here, but I am like.
You're saying what dice you're using. You're not saying what you're doing with the dice.
Okay.
It's definitely the way to say it. It's what dice you're using. So in other words, you could do a narration of like, I need to call in that favor from Zephyron. Like rather than specific, or I'll think of what Zephyron said, or you could use any of those kind of things. They're the better way of doing it than going to specifics.
I don't think I phrase it as calling a favor. I phrase it as requisition material from someone.
That's great. It's got
and let's see. So that's D6, D8. And I'll call in the favor from the Solar Navy.
Sweet.
Okay. Right, and I should be D6, 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 D8, and the D4. Okay. That's a D8, an 11, 12.
Enough. Yeah, easy. I would say, like, do you want to describe how you take out all the you storm the ship, or how do you deal with the shark pirates?
I think the technology I have requisitioned from Zephyrin is a portable sun generator. It generates a small sun that blinds the pirates as my capital ship zooms in to lay down a blanket of nuclear warheads along their ships.
Brilliant. They blossom. The sharks are cooked in the awful thermonuclear heat, and you basically you cleared it out. The signal's still there. Do you want to discover what's aboard the ship?
Yeah.
You flip the card.
Okay.
Okay. Like deep. You kind of open the center entral chamber, and there's like a ship that's kind of trapped inside it, and inside it there's a very confused old man sort of looking up and it's like, which empire is here?
The Empire.
Oh, thank the many heavens! And he holds onto your legs. I've made it home.
I think I look at him and say, you said old man?
Yeah, he's in military gear as well. He looks like he's a member of the fleet.
Append your radiance to the end, and I will forgive the transgression of touching me.
Of course, I have seen so much. I have so much to tell you. I've been to places beyond imagining. I have seen waterfalls of blood fall from the face of the sky itself. Such wonders and horrors. Your radiance, and I will share them with you. I am yours.
Good.
And we'll hard cut the scene there. In that, basically, you now take that rogue trader card, and you're going to basically you can have your cards. Let's put your stuff like. I would rather. Can you put them on the board? Is the thing, because rather than put it in your hands, I need to be able to see them. So put them down here, like, and basically one player can have each corner, and we keep them there. That's basically kept as just an NPC. The NPC is now in your court. You get to talk to them. You can bring them in. They're also an asset, so you can spend them. And if you spend them, you put a token on top of them to add a D8 to a dice pool. So basically, they're like a boon. So they are both, treasure. Also, to be mechanical, they can now be targeted by cards that appear. So, in other words, there might be a card that targets individuals, and they'll try to assassinate your person, and so on. So that's the game cascades based upon what cards people have. So you're on mute.
And for completing the Blade Guild's mission, do I get a favor with them?
Yes, you get a favor. I've also, if you look in the factions politics tag, you've noticed I've given you a tick in that box, which will, at the end of the year, that will be activated and something will happen. But you also get a faction. You also get a faction policy thing back. Yes.
Yeah, I actually think that the surviving space pirates I have dragged up to the bridge. I look to them all. You've been brought into the light of the Empire. You shall serve it by being tortured by the Blade Guild. You are welcome.
Perfect. Right. I reckon we can hard cut from there. I reckon Zephran we can do next with your first contact situation.
Sure. Okay. So what do I do now?
Yes, sorry. I will. So I'm just trying to set the scene question. Okay. Basically, the way it sets up, your ship is approaching from deep space, and you see this small, perfectly spherical shape, and it's all like your technology. When I say perfectly spherical, I mean perfect. It's pi. It's weirdly, uniquely perfect. It seemed vaguely reminiscent of the elves, the space elves, but also not so. A perfect circle opens inside it, and basically bids you to come in.
Like in deep space, is it bigger than my ship, or?
No, it's like a house size. It's really small. It's like like against your thing, it's like a marble.
Are we in deep space or on some kind of planet? Or?
Oh yeah, sorry. It's at the edge. It's in deep space. It's literally in the middle of this solar void. Sorry, I haven't established though well.
And there is a sphere And it's opening and asking me personally to come in?
Yes.
Well, I guess I do a spacewalk then. Um, I like the idea that with a mental command, a like dome extends out of her armor, and she just steps through a door in the ship and just floats over to the sphere, silence in hand, and is answering the invitation.
You float your way slowly inside there. The door slowly slides behind you. What do you do?
I trust in my navy behind me and my destiny in front of me, and I wait.
Yeah. A voice says, I thought we should better have some privacy. You turn around and you see someone. They are why do you find them the most attractive person you've ever seen in your life? And how do you know that they feel mutually about you?
Oh, okay. I think they look very rugged and competent. They look like an adventurer or trapper who's been out in outer space for I don't know how long, and seem to be getting along just fine. And that is very appealing to me. And as they look at me, I see that they recognize that in me, and with a sly nod, there's an understanding.
Yeah, they sort of, I'm the Princedom, they say, introducing themselves. And there's an interesting contrast between the rough and ready look of them and the incredible smoothness of the spaceship. There's a real kind of interesting what's going on here kind of thing. It says, I have come here to learn about you.
Oh, I assume this ship is not built by you. It's rather commandeered.
I think that would be giving away such information, but we need to sort of fence for that a little. And I've come here to learn about you. And I mean that both generally, as you know, lovely, interesting species, and you specifically, you interesting creature. I'm the Princedom, they say. That's Princedom, by the way, is the unigender word for somebody who is of a prince or princess.
Likewise, you are quite the fascinating specimen yourself.
Excellent. You must convince. Let's see what you have to explain to me. I'm going to skip into a challenge now. You talk through, you're now entering a debate about the nature of life with this creature. They are basically putting together arguments about life and existence, and about why the critiques that they might have about your society, and basically you have to justify it. Now, this is the challenge of cunning, and I'm going to pull together. They are D6, and if you want to, I'm going to roll their dice, which is the thing I've got to do first. D8, D6, and D8, I believe. D8, wrong way round. Not 2 8s. So 2D6 and a D8. And I'll roll. Oh, they've got a good one. So their total is 12. And it's worth noting this challenge is also risky. So to enter the challenge, you have to spend a favor at all. It's like, so will you debate the principle on the nature of life and justify the empire? Think carefully, Scion.
I wonder if it's even worth it. What would happen if I just forgo the challenge?
What happens is we role play it out and we leave. And the card is discard. It says discard, so the card will be gone forever.
I will roll nevertheless. Maybe I am lucky. So I have my name. I am Saffron Harnai. Rage won't do me any good here.
Yeah.
And can I answer with technology, or do I have to answer with cunning?
You have to answer with cunning. If you spend a pain, you can answer with technology as well.
Okay, then I will answer it with cunning, and I'm trying to make the argument.
You don't need to justify the argument, remember, yet. The argument is after the dice roll.
Okay. And I will also, I think that the tech is the way I'm going, taking the pain to also use my my tech, and I will also tag the Solar Navy.
You have to tag the Solar Navy to enter the challenge, remember, as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's one of those. It's one where you have to spend that to even enter, and then it doesn't count as a dice either. You've just got to spend it to enter it. So it's even harder. It's really hard to get this.
That's fine. And then let's see.
You can spend another one if you want another D4, though, I stress.
No, that's fine. So I also have an 8.
Bingo, you got it.
So I matched the challenge. That means I won? Or?
Yeah, you rolled 13, you beat 12, so that is successful. So I'll just draw the kind of situation where the thing is, the debate's been going on. The Princeton has been talking about how can you be so cruel, this technology, how can you truly justify yourself? You roll best. How do you defeat them in their argument? How do you convince them?
So the Iron Goat makes the argument that, I understand what you are saying, and you are right. Our society is big, and it is bloated, and it makes men and women weak. However, what it also does is that it supplies us with technology and infrastructure that allows us to spread through the wideness and vastness of space, not by dint of being special. It allows anybody with the right spirit to do that. I have 50,000 souls on my flagship, and each one of them has seen wonders that the rest of humanity cannot imagine. And I would assume also most of inhabited space cannot imagine. And this is the glory of humankind. And I'm sure you, waving at their appearance and the ship, you can appreciate that.
And so the Princeton is like, yes, I'm not sure I believe your words, but I believe you. You are most curious, Zephyr and I, and I'd like to watch you most closely. Feel free. You take your 12. You have 12 glory, so that's your total. And I forgot to say, did you remember? Steve? Did you add it by yourself before I said? Sorry, Stephen. You should have added 10 glory to yours as well.
I did.
Oh, you did it. Good. You're ahead of me. So Dominic's on 13 glory now.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. And also, you can flip the first contact card.
Cool.
Yes, and that is now that's your NPC as well, who is can be called upon in scenes and role played and stuff like that.
Cool.
And also spent as advantage dice.
And they also go to the side, right?
Yeah. I'll put The problem with this actual setup is not quite enough space for all the cards. But yeah, so choose an area where you keep your cards, and that's fine.
Okay, then I'll take the left-hand side then.
That's a good idea. Fantastic. Oh, careful. I can move the deck. Actually, no, I'll go out. I'll move the full deck later because it can only.
Yeah, I wanted to see if I can move the full deck down to.
You've got to be in editing mode to do it, basically.
Sorry.
Yeah. That's fantastic. I actually kind of want to see, like, when you bring the Pinsummer back board, Stephen, do you want to play like the brutal bodyguard of Dominic as Zephyran brings this alien aboard at the Prinsum? Like, what's the response of the soldiers?
I think the bodyguards immediately all draw rifles and make a circle around the Prinsum between the circle between the Prinsum and Zephyran.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Zephyran, what do you do to make him stand down, or do you?
I slam the butt of my silence, my scythe staff. I should call it a silence. That's way cooler anyway.
Silence is cool.
Silence on the floor with a loud thumb that reverberates in all their minds. I say, "This is an esteemed guest of the Iron Goat. Stand down."
I think they all cower, your bodyguards, and they fall to their knees. I think one or two of them begins to bleed from their eyes and ears as you let out this psychic wave. And of course, how do your followers address you, Zephyrin?
I think that Severin, out in space, you have no use for
like captain or commander, or just your name.
Yeah, it's just my name. I don't think they cower that much.
Okay.
But they get the sense that they crossed the line here.
Yeah, they don't cower, but I feel like you use your psychic abilities. I feel like you should at least stagger.
Yeah, they surely do that.
And of course, I think I don't have a name generator here. If someone wants to generate a name for your head bodyguard.
The head bodyguard's
Gruff?
name.
How about Gruff, like a goat?
Yeah, Gruff says, of course. I had not realized that the alien creature was your guest.
I know you meant well, but this is a guest. Now, if you please, prepare the quarters for them.
So, such interesting dominance, the Princedom says, fascinated. You're the most interesting people, or at least person. Right. We can hard cut then to the Ultra Trial itself, which is happening in the solar system of the I forgot what it's called, where the Terran Lords, that multiple moons around the captured sun, and you're kind of like, the trial is enormous. The Ultra Thief stands there in the best technology available. It's not even just human technology or space elf technology. There's a lot going on because the Ultra Thief needs to be protected by multiple ways. And they sort of speak that as the multiple crimes and thefts are kind of lin. And the thing that actually got the Ultra Thief is the Ultra Thief tried to steal the sun from the center of the solar system and would have got away with it if they weren't betrayed. They stand there proudly. How could they not be? I don't know, you do actually get a message though before it starts. So I'm making notes. Who would give us any? I'm trying to think who would have the best submission for this. I reckon the Solar Fleet would like you actually to do something here. You need to get the access to the evidence of, specifically they want access to the evidence file of how how he stole the sun. That's the kind of thing. How on earth did this happen? They've got no idea how they did. Destroying the sun? Yeah, everyone's done that. Slandris did it 3 times in the last 4 years. But stealing a sun, that's most interesting technology. If you want to do that, you have to add a D6 to the dice pool.
And I have to do that before you tell me what the base difficulty is, don't I?
Yes, as in it's my dice pool.
Yes, exactly. So I think I will politely decline.
It's like, that is a request, by the way, for this. So you get the message from Raven, and you're gonna, Slandris would have done it. She says somewhat sarcastically, but we cut away. Basically, the defense is not defense. The prosecution is going out. So, does anyone want to play the prosecution and give a kind of a rant about why the Ultra Thief should be sent away? Does it appeal to you, Dominic or Stephen?
Does what appeal to me?
Do you want to be the prosecutor? like, and just do a big rant about why the Ultra Thief is terrible and should be locked away forever.
Sure, I can be the prosecutor.
Okay.
I stand before the lords and look at the thief. This thief has broken not only the laws of the Empire, he has laid personal insult against me. At the end of days, it is my right to devour this planet, to this sun, and your futures, not his.
Brilliant. Vajurian the Executioner, which is like an enormous, like skyscraper-sized robot, which is basically full of people who are going to decide the actual verdicts, and also just like machine gunners. Like all the jury members have machine guns. They kind of start to consider, like, and a voice comes out: "Who will anyone defend the Ultra Thief?" And I'll roll the difficulty. Oh, he's rolled well. The total is 12 again.
12. Okay.
Scion, who will defend the Ultra Thief? Consider carefully. So pause and consider your dice pool, and then declare your dice pool.
It was just like a really convincing argument. Everybody was like, "Oh yeah, right. It's our destiny to be consumed by Salandros. We forgot."
Yeah. It's Salandros' son. Hand off Salandros' son.
Okay, so I think I am Kairos. I obviously have a grasp of jurisprudence as being bookwise.
Yes.
I am all in favor of cunning argument. I will mark 2 pain.
You can only mark 1 pain, by the way.
Oh, so
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah, you only can take 1 extra one.
Yeah. In which case I will take pain for unnatural.
Cool.
And I am calling in a favor from both the Blade Guild and the Collegia Psi.
Yeah. As a general, I'll warn you against doing that. If you do that, you roll 2 dice and pick the best, but it is using a lot of resources.
It is. And if they come up the same, if they come up both 1, then my hubris will have bitten me on the bottom.
Yes, and I'll also know it's true. To be fair, if you fail, you also lose another 1 anyway as well, because it is challenging. So not challenging the other way around. It's risky.
Okay, so right. I think that adds up to 1, 2, 3 d6, a d8, and 2 d4s.
I think you're right. The only thing you could call him bonds if you like, but that sounds a pretty good dice roll.
Oh, that's an interesting question. Yes. I think I will call in a debt. I will express a bond with Zephran.
Cool. Use that at some point.
Because I think that might be quite interesting. And I get their name dice, don't I?
That's the one.
So that's another d6. So that's 4d6, a d8, and 2 d4.
Cool.
Go big or go home.
Good luck.
And then I describe, and then I roll.
No, you roll, then
roll
you describe,
first,
because it decides if you succeed or fail. That decides.
That is 11. No, sorry, that's 11. And what are those 2 4s?
Yeah, the 2 4s. That's enough. So yeah, your total. So you can do it. Your best 2 rolls were 6 and a 5, so that's 11, and then you got 4 in the d4, so that's 15.
Fine.
Your best, so you get 12 glory. And please describe how you convince people to let the Ultra Thief go free.
Yes. I think as we will become familiar with, Kairos's shtick in this is the eyebrow goes up, we close on the eyebrow, we cut to a flashback where we see him scrolling through endless texts on jurisprudence. So he understands the court. He understands the nature of the charges better than his sibling. And his cunning approach is to face the jury of Terran lords and say, the prosecution makes my case for me. the prosecution has outlined in great detail how this defendant is dangerous. But the prosecution has forgotten that if we are to remake the galaxy in a way that will start again, there can only be light after darkness, my lords. And though I can't invoke war here, my bond with Zephyran is spent to ensure that his fleet appears above the planet, above the planet where we're having this jury. As you will see, the might of the Emperor is at my elbow. Would you vote against that? And the bonds that I've spent, the favor I've spent with Collegia Psi is that I am channeling their mind control over significant lords. And I spent a favor of the Blade Guild. So some lords that are particularly opinion formers, their families are under the blade of the guild.
Wow, that's persuasive argument you're making there.
That's what I thought.
Brilliant. I was like, the enormous like thumb of the Titan-like robot goes upwards, and the Ultra Thief like does their wrists, and then all the chains fall off them, as if I could have escaped any time I wanted, and just turns to you and like embraces you. Brilliantly said. Brilliantly said. You're amazing. I love that. Like very positive energy from this Ultra Thief. Do you want to flip the card? There you go.
The Ultra Thief.
Yeah.
Is mine.
Yes.
Actually, might be more room up that corner. There we go.
Yeah. But I'm gonna. Yeah. Those won't move till they're the end game cards, by the way. If you're wondering what the third deck is.
I was curious, but
yeah.
Yeah, that was good. Thank you.
Excellent.
I find several of the jurors in contempt of court and have them executed at the end of the trial.
Brilliant. And that's what the final scene I imagine is like Kairos not drinking because Kairos is Kairos, and the Ultra Thief drinking some incredibly expensive champagne as these kind of bodies are floating past space outside, thrown out by a pissed off Salandris' troops as a kind of like miniature human moons around the solar system. And that ends the first season. Basically, what happens now would be we play 2 more seasons, so we get another sets of cards, and then we go to the winter season. I'm going to say have a quick break now, and then maybe we might have time to do. We probably get time to do a full season. So I'm trying to work out: do we just stop now, or kind of carry on and do as far as we can? What do you think? How people are feeling?
I feel like this would be a good time to pause and unpack a little bit if we don't have time for a full season.
Yeah, I'm sure actually what might be fun is drawing the cards and showing what the season is. Sure. Yeah, that gives you time to think about what's next. Ironically, this kind of you've all picked cards which give you an NPC. That's not usual. You know what I mean? That's the kind of like they're not the most common thing in the deck by any means. But I also don't want to spoil because part of the fun of the game is not knowing what the cards are. Really, I think, at least to begin with. So at the end of the season, what would happen now is since I'm explaining it, I want to actually go through it properly. Right, draw cards. We add tokens. We select missions. Yeah, frustrating. Yeah, all the other stuff, which is basically keeps the universe ticking over in kind of like the faction game, doesn't happen because everything was solved very quickly. No one was a threat. So then we just go to the Spring of Summer and we draw 3 cards. I'm just going to draw them because it's easy that way. Space Hulk, Gang Chaos, and an incursion on Cadia. Right, you may notice like I'll phrase this in the fiction at the start of next time. But this is discard, so the card will go away if it doesn't deal this turn. This is another discard. Oh my god, they're all discards again. What the fuck? Yeah. most, I mean, like a lot of them, like, okay, minor thing in the game, you might not, you know, you can see the top card on the deck of the actual, so you know what the next encounter is going to be, which is basically obviously entirely based on the fact that you can't do it with cards otherwise. This is the way cards work. But like, you're psionic, you can see the future slightly. So like, you know the top card is part of that, and this is what's going to be in the universe next time. You've got 3 discards. They are threats. In other words, bad stuff will happen if you don't do anything. They're strategic threats, which means that they will piss off. What happens is, if you fail them, tokens will be put on one of the fractions, and that increase that is a number they will have at the start of every turn. You roll the dice, and if it's beneath that number, they rebel and they become a threat. So if factions take damage or get pissed off with you, they end up becoming new encounters. Is basically that way that works. But it will be phrased in the fiction in various ways. But cool. I think the final image. I think the final image is this kind of the news, that sub robot kind of bringing you the scrolls as you're all having another meal on the top of Slandris's amazing palace, and you're all kind of like, and he's kind of awful details about gangs going wild on the hive planet of Necromunda, another space hulk appearing in a very similar place to the last one, and the awful. Worst of all, he's bringing several people's severed heads from the war on Cadia, and he's going to serve that as the next course of the meal, and that's where we'll end the thing as we cut to the black and run the credits on the Scion. That's playable. That was delightful. Yeah.